And welcome to The Verdict. Mick Cornett and Kent Myers, we're glad you're with us today. We're here every week meeting interesting people and discussing topical issues, and we've got a guy this week that has a lot of people attention on the DA's office in Oklahoma City.
Yes, we have, for the 5.5 years or so we've been doing this show, we have attempted to bring to you new people who are going to occupy new positions that will have a great impact in your life. And we're going to do that today with David Prater, the new Oklahoma County District Attorney. He and former District Attorney Wes Lane had a spirited race where Prater won rather handily, and we're going to get an idea about what he has in mind for the office, and we want you to get a chance to meet him if you haven't already.
It's coming up next on The Verdict. Stay with us.
At Chesapeake Energy, here's a few of our favorite Hornets. Alexis likes reading. Sam enjoys history. Alec loves math. Chesapeake is proud to support both the Oklahoma City NBA Hornets and the Young Hornets at Horace Mann Elementary, where over 150 Chesapeake employees mentor to children each week. The students gain a lot from the experience, but not as much as we do. Chesapeake Energy, committed to building a better Oklahoma.
Oh, hi. I know you guys said I'd save with Cox Digital Telephone. Well, my bill came and... Could this be right?
You may be surprised how much you save with Cox Digital Telephone. That's why over 1.5 million people have switched.
So this really is a total? Lovely. Because I think I found a good use for the savings.
With Cox, there's no waiting for the other shoe to drop. The only surprise is there's no surprise at all.
1 in 4 women will be a victim of domestic or sexual violence in their lifetime.
That's too many.
That's why we want you to know that if you or someone you know is suffering at the hands of an abuser, there is help. Call the Oklahoma Safe Line at 1-800-522-SAFE for access to state and local resources that can truly make a difference. Call anonymously, call toll-free, call today, because domestic violence is not a game. It's life or death.
And welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett and Kent Myers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
Today we are really honored to have the Honorable David Prater, the District Attorney of Oklahoma County, with us. We want to introduce David to you for those of you who have not met him or heard from him, and we want this to be your chance to get acquainted with what he is going to do in the office and how he's getting along. David did his undergraduate work and his law work at the University of Oklahoma and has an interesting law enforcement background, having been a deputy sheriff, a police officer in the Norman Police Department, an assistant district attorney in Oklahoma County, an assistant attorney general, and now the district attorney. Has a complete district attorney resume, as you might say. He's also been in private practice. This is his first, and I hope not his last, visit to The Verdict. David, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
David, congratulations on your victory. A lot of people run against incumbents. A lot of people lose. I assume you woke up on election day hopeful but uncertain.
Certainly uncertain. We'd worked real hard for about 1.5 years. And when you're running against an incumbent, particularly an incumbent like Wes, who had a lot of name recognition, people who knew who he was in the community, I had to tell them why to vote him out and why to vote me in. And fortunately, I believe the voters, they paid attention to the issues in the race. And there was enough news coverage, some negative news coverage, unfortunately for Mr. Lane, but good for us, throughout the year preceding the election, that I think really hurt Mr. Lane and maybe communicated to the public some problems that were in the DA's office. And then I had to tell them why I would be a better choice for their DA, not just criticize the incumbent, but why am I a better choice? And we had the Prater plan, and we communicated that, like I said, about over the last year and a half to the public. And I think that the people really caught on to it as to how they believed that I would be a better district attorney and had a better plan for the office.
What were your advisors telling you on election day, that you had a little chance, a good chance? Were you surprised at the end of the night?
Actually, pleasantly surprised, truthfully. If I didn't think I had a chance to win, I would not have run, because this was not just to get my name out in the community and provide me an opportunity to maybe run again at a later time. This was the deal for me. This was the one time I wanted to do it, and I threw it out there. I thought this was our one best chance to do it. So I was optimistic throughout the campaign, and really when people ask me, well, what if you don't lose? And I tell them, losing wasn't an option. This was about making this county a safer place to live, and so I didn't ever look at the fact that we really could lose. I just couldn't do that.
Well, David, let me just say that not only in preparation for this show, but before the show was being prepared, I looked at your Prater plan, and I have to congratulate you on it. I thought that was comprehensive. I thought it was understandable. I thought it showed a good bit of forethought and contemplation about why you were going to get in the race, and you oftentimes do not see that.
Yes, sir.
What led you to put the Prater plan together?
Well, again, working with my advisors, we knew that you couldn't just go out and criticize an incumbent and say, hey, listen, this person's not doing a great job, and then just be silent. You'd never be elected, especially when running against a popular incumbent. And truthfully, what I'd seen over the last several years, particularly the last 5 years under Mr. Lane's tenure, was that there were some things that needed to be improved upon. And I identified those things and chose to put into place my Prater plan that dealt directly with things like a gang prosecution unit, domestic violence prosecution unit, and putting into place like a mediation program to lessen the huge backlog in Oklahoma County. It takes about 2.5 years to get a case to trial right now in Oklahoma County on the criminal docket, and that's way too much, way too long.
What's goal one? You're sworn in on the 1st of January. What are you working on in January?
Calm everyone down, truthfully. Since the mid-50s, we've not had an incumbent DA that's been defeated. So no one really knows how to react, and the office right now is, people are a little bit upset and kind of wondering what's going to happen. I need to just make sure that they understand that our true goal is to protect the citizens of Oklahoma County, and that their jobs as assistant district attorneys are secure, and that we're going to go forward and rebuild relationships with law enforcement, rebuild relationships with victims and victims advocates groups, and truthfully, work on the things that they're there for, and that is to protect the public and be good public servants.
You have made talked a little bit about making more use of drug courts and mental health courts. I know they're being used some in Oklahoma now. Do you envision that being expanded?
Absolutely. I believe that drug courts and mental health courts work very well. And
can you briefly describe for our viewers what we mean by drug courts and mental health courts?
Sure. There's a drug court where drug offenders who are addicts only, we're not talking about traffickers or persons who are selling drugs to our school children, are identified, and where they might have otherwise gone to prison because this is their second or third offense on a possession-related type charge, they are diverted to a drug court type program where they're given very regimented treatment and asked to do some pretty tough things to make themselves better and to protect the community. Mental health court is much the same way. A couple years ago, the Oklahoma legislature appropriated $2.7 million to the Oklahoma County Drug Court to fund about 900 slots in drug court. To this point, there's only been about 250 people that have been pled into drug court at any given time. There's only about 250 people in active treatment. So we have about 650 slots that are available to plead people into where they can get that appropriate training, appropriate treatment. And
that would lower the prison population.
Yes, sir, that would, because the recidivism rates as well. A person that goes through the drug court program successfully is 5 times less likely to reoffend on release.
Well, on the mental health courts, are these people that would be subject to being dealt with in the mental health court, are they someone who has committed an offense?
Yes, sir, they are.
And because of perhaps mental deficiencies?
Yes, sir. These people are persons with demonstrable mental health issues that otherwise may find themselves in prison. And like we find right now, I mean, a good portion of our jail inmates in the Oklahoma County Jail are persons with mental health issues. And we find the same thing in prisons. That's completely a completely inappropriate way, I believe, to handle persons with mental illness.
Why don't we just take a break? I had another question, but it may take too long to answer, so why don't we just get to a break and we'll be back with more. We're visiting with the District Attorney for Oklahoma County, David Prater, and we'll be right back on The Verdict.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
Shining is taking responsibility. At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, we know managing your health care can be overwhelming, and it's our job to help you meet the challenge. By guiding, supporting, and showing the way, we encourage you to gain control. Because we believe the best tool we can give you is the confidence to take charge. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Oklahoma, shining through.
That land next door was a mess. Take more than a lawnmower to revive that land. I heard the oil and natural gas people was cleaning up old oil sites, and it wouldn't cost us a plug nickel. Oh yes, sir, it was quite a revival. The whole church showed up, want to make a playground for the kids. It sure is a blessing.
Wilsey, Meyer, Eatman, Tate. We're accountants. We do taxes, business valuations, estate planning, and consulting. And we're right here in Oklahoma, working with the owners of small and medium-sized businesses. Steve Wilsey and Stuart Meyer have the resources and the experience. Wilsey, Meyer, Eatman, Tate in Oklahoma City and Tulsa.
You need this one to get satellite HD. This one's your DVR. This one's for local channels. This one's...
What are we supposed to do with all this stuff?
Got you covered. Oh, by the way, that old satellite stuff makes a great end table.
That doesn't look so bad, right, honey?
Don't live in satellite denial. Get the latest entertainment without the hassles from Cox, your friend in the digital age.
There's a whole new world online, but it's not always safe for kids. Never give your name, phone, address, or password to anyone you met online, and always keep your personal information private. It's the safe way for kids, right, gang?
Right. Be safe online.
Thanks to Lauren Nelson and Cox, we're working to keep Oklahoma kids safer online. For your free guide, log on now. And if you feel your child has been placed in danger by someone online, notify law enforcement today.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett, Kent Myers, and today's guest, Oklahoma County District Attorney David Prater. David, what are you going to do about actually trying cases yourself?
Well, to the extent that my schedule will allow me, I want to be trying cases because I think it's important for a number of reasons. But first of all, it's important to show my people in the office, the assistant DAs that are down there in those courtrooms every day trying cases, that I'm willing to get in there and do the same thing that they're doing. I want them to have to instill in them the confidence, understanding that their boss, the guy in the front office, is willing to go do and roll up his sleeves and work right next to them in the courtroom. Also, I think it communicates to my staff as well that I'm going to have my head in the game. I'm going to know what the issues are that's affecting them every day in the courtrooms as well. I think if you don't try cases, you kind of lose touch with not just your people, but what's going on in the everyday function of those courtrooms.
It seems to me that the criminal practice is not all that much different than the civil practice in that if you have a lawyer who doesn't ever try a civil case and then tries to advise clients about what the risks and rewards are, they're not very well prepared to do that because they haven't been in the trenches themselves.
Yes, sir.
I would think in the criminal area it would be the same.
It is. It very much is the same. And I think you have to have an experienced person to relate to your victims and your police officers as to why you are handling a case in a certain manner. And I think them knowing that you have the experience and you're actually in there trying cases every day will help instill in them the confidence in you that they need to have.
I'm sorry.
Law enforcement involves several different roles, several different entities, and your office has to work with the law enforcement agencies, whether it's the sheriff or the police chief or whatever. What relationships do you have currently, and how do you see that evolving?
I have very good relationships with law enforcement, fortunately. A lot of that may come from the fact that I was a former police officer, and so there's kind of this brotherhood, you know, and I may
Bob Macy had a similar relationship, did he not?
He sure did. As a former police officer, Mr. Macy maintained a good relationship with law enforcement. And you know, those officers know and understand that I came from where they are right now, and they know that I put on the gun, I put on the bulletproof vest, and I experience many of the things that they're experiencing every day. As they're out on the street, they know that I've experienced the same thing, and so they have a confidence in me to take care of them and to handle the cases that they bring to the DA's office appropriately. Now, as to the relationship that I have with law enforcement, it's really very good. I was very fortunate, and one of the things that I believe put me over the top, Mayor, in the election was the fact that so many fraternal order of police organizations endorsed me, and many police officers didn't just endorse me, they were actually the ones out on the street corner holding up my signs on election day, so they actually were working for me. So I have a very good relationship with law enforcement, and I appreciate that, and I'm very humbled by it.
Well, discuss for our viewers a few of the things you actually did as a police officer. I mean, I know from my research that you were undercover for a while, you were on a SWAT team, you did the kind of the high-risk stuff.
That's correct.
Obviously safely, but you did it. That's good preparation, is it not? And good relationship building.
It very much is. It was very good preparation. Of course, I didn't know at the time that I was preparing to run for office at any point. When I got into law enforcement, I thought certainly this is going to be what I'll be doing the rest of my life because I just loved it. But yes, I was very heavily involved in patrol, which I never wanted to not be in a patrol car. I just loved being out on the street, being there when the time came for someone to truly take action and be a critical part of the decision-making process when a scene was occurring. I really enjoyed that. But I also enjoyed training and teaching young recruits in the academy. I was very heavily involved in firearms training, pursuit driving. I taught pursuit driving. As you mentioned, I was on the tactical unit as well. So I tried to really just engage myself in everything that I could on the police department, and just really was blessed by my time there.
When it comes to criminal cases, what's your feeling on mediation?
You know, I think mediation can work very well in criminal cases. You know, the civil practice historically in this state, the civil practice has found that mediation does work very well. Unfortunately, I believe that the criminal side of the coin, that many DA's offices have not really utilized mediation as well as they could. I believe it'll be very effective, and that's one part of my Prater plan to help reduce the huge backlog of cases in Oklahoma County, is a mediation type program. Now, one part of that program is really just a hybrid plea negotiation process. So you're making sure that your victim and your police officers have an input before there's any disposition to a case. That's very important to your victims and your police officers, and I think very important to the criminal justice system as a whole. But on the other hand, you have many times when victims want to go face to face with the offender and and try to figure out why they were victimized. Were they targeted for some reason? It gives them some kind of an answer as to why in the world was I picked out of all these people in the community to be robbed or raped or have my car stolen from out from underneath me or our house be broken into. So that provides victims, I don't like to use the word closure, I don't believe in it, but it helps provide them some answers as to why they might have been victimized.
David, you're in charge of a pretty large law firm by Oklahoma standards.
Yes,
About
sir.
how many assistant district attorneys do you have or will you have?
It's a total office personnel-wise of about 150. A third of those, about 53, are attorneys.
Wow.
So you're right, one of the largest law firms in Oklahoma.
And I can see why some existing assistant district attorneys might feel some uncertainty.
Sure.
When the person that hired them or the person for whom they've been working is now gone and there's a new person there, even though many of them most of them probably know you. Right. How will you handle that transition with those existing staffers?
I think very carefully, but the truth is, I have no desire at all to go in and clean house. I think many of the lawyers that are there in that office have really worked honorably for many years and done a great job. And really, I just want to provide them with the leadership and the example that they need in the front office to do a better job, and provide them the support and whatever it is they need to do that job better, like I said.
I know it's early in your tenure.
Yes, sir.
But do you think your office size is about right? Does it need to be larger to address the backlog, or where are you on personnel matters like that?
Well, actually, right now, of course, most district attorneys are going to tell you they could use a number of more personnel, whether it be in the courtroom as a lawyer or support staff or whatever. But I'm a real fiscal conservative, and what I want to do is look at how we need to spend our money in the office. I don't want to grow the office any larger than it has to be. If that means a reduction in staff, if we can do things more efficiently, that's great. If not, then we'll look at another way to handle it. But I don't want to have any kind of a knee-jerk reaction when I come in. Being here in such a short time, really without being able to evaluate, having the opportunity to evaluate things to this point. I don't want to come in and just go, think, oh my gosh, we need 10 more lawyers, when in fact we may not. Mm-hmm. So I just really want to evaluate what we have, and again, try to really take care of the taxpayers' money, because they're paying our salary, and I pay taxes as well, so I want to take care of that money.
If you ask someone on the street, what does the district attorney do? What is their life and career like? A few might know the district attorney and have some idea, but most would probably see how it was conveyed in a Hollywood setting, whether it was a television show or a movie. Having seen those movies and television shows, having been in the office, how accurate is that portrayal, and what would you tell the citizens who think that Hollywood's version is the accurate portrayal?
Well, I'd say just like anything else, it's many times it's greatly glamorized from what true life really is, and that's what I would say about the television shows and the movies about district attorney's office as compare what true life is. Now, is there a hint of truth in all those programs? Sure there is, but it's really glamorized a great deal. It's a tough job. Being a district attorney is a very, very, very tough job, and you have the weight of your county, in this case, the weight of your county on your shoulders, and you have a lot of people relying on you to make sure hoping that you will do your job right and protecting the citizens of this county. If you do your job wrong, a lot of bad things can happen. But if you do it right and you truly pay attention to the issues in the community, like we've talked about in the past, Mayor, gang violence. I mean, if we truly are able to focus on gang violence, like I believe we will, you're going to see a demonstrable difference in the activity of gangs in this county.
Hollywood portrays public defenders as overworked and underpaid. Is that accurate?
Yes, absolutely. Public defenders are truly overworked and underpaid. And I would say so are assistant district attorneys, overworked and underpaid as well. But the truth is, it's a calling. It's public service. When I was a police officer, I knew I didn't get in it to get rich. I got in it to serve my fellow man and woman. And the same goes with running for this office. I could make a lot more money in my private practice if I wanted to stay there. But the truth is, I've got something in my heart and something in my soul that causes me want to serve my fellow man and woman. And that's why I'm there. But are we overworked and underpaid? Yeah, absolutely.
Very briefly, describe for the viewers prosecutorial discretion.
Prosecutorial discretion is I think, probably an aspect of the job that people don't really understand a whole lot. It is the discretion as to whether or not you charge a person or not charge a person with a crime. Once you have charged them, what do you charge them with? And then, what punishment do you seek? There is broad discretion given to district attorneys, just like judges in cases on how to handle them, but in this case, district attorneys, as to how those cases are handled or not handled.
All right. Well, we sure appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, David, and good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
David Prater is the newly elected district attorney for Oklahoma County. Kit and I'll be back with a final word after this. You're watching The Verdict.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. a legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
Looks like somebody doesn't want you to know the facts about Cox Digital Telephone. Maybe it's because over 1.5 million customers are saving big, and you can too. Plus, you'll save even more on all your Cox services when you bundle today.
Oh, here's that new phone service I've been hearing about.
So while the phone company may not like competition,
Nice doggy.
you're gonna love it.
Nice doggy.
Not sure where you're headed? NATS can help you find your way. It's the National Athletic Testing System. We call it NATS. You'll call it your launching pad to success. NATS will give you a standardized evaluation that will help you measure your performance and give that information to college coaches so they can accurately evaluate your potential. NATS also helps with academic support. Join with the Oklahoma High School Football Coaches Association and head for success at www.nats.us.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Final moments here as we wrap up the show with Oklahoma County District Attorney David Prater.
Yes, very impressive gentleman with a great background for the district attorney's job. Apparently ran a really good race because the voters tuned into him and elected him with some significant margin. He's got a lot of good plans for the district attorney's office. It will be interesting to see how he handles some of the problems we have in Oklahoma County, and we'll have him back.
We thank David for coming on the show. We also like to thank you, our viewers. This was show number 299. So join us next week for show number 300. We'll see you then.
A big surprise show.
The preceding program was produced by the Production Services Group at Cox Communications, exclusively for the Cox Channel.